Hello, everyone. Before we get started, we have to pay the bills real quick. So, I would like to tell you about Anchor. Anchor is your free all in one podcast application. With Anchor, you have creation tools built in to record and edit your episodes straight from your phone or computer. Anchor will distribute the podcast for you so it can be heard on Spotify, Apple, and many other platforms. It even lets you monetize your podcast with no minimum listenership. In fact, that's what I'm doing right now. We use it, and so can you. Download the free Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started.
Hello, welcome to Going 19, episode 39. Today we are starting our journey to the tower. Yay. We are starting with book one, of course, The Gunslinger, covering chapters 1 and 2. I'm Amber. With me are Ed and Allie, so let's start the show.
Yay!
Woo!
Going to the tower and
Yeah. I briefly mentioned this. It's definitely a way different read through the second time, and it's I love it. I feel so good. It feels nostalgic, pretty much.
yeah, you thought it was comfortable. Like now you got 8, 9, 10, however many books we decide to make it.
Right.
I like that so for you this is the second time, right?
Mm-hmm.
Allie's first time, and me, and I don't know. I've probably done 4 complete times and a bunch of audio booking sometimes in the middle.
Right.
Does it count as a whole one if I skip Song of Susanna?
I don't feel like we can make that joke until Allie also understands our
Yeah, see, I'm doing it already. Okay. Well then, Allie, what do you think so far?
I'm confused.
That's a good word.
It took me a little bit of time to figure out that he probably isn't on Earth.
Fair.
Okay.
Like it's not just a post-apocalyptic Earth scene.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't even think of that, really. I just always knew.
Well,
what gave it away?
I had that same problem too. That's what makes Allie being confused. I feel like it's completely normal. The first time I read it, I didn't understand a lot of what happened until I went back and read the summaries of like scenes online, and I was like, oh, that's what that meant. Like, the only reason why I can understand it now is because these events are gone over so many times in the other books because they're so crucial to the story.
Yeah, just a whole bag of confusion at the moment.
Oh, and I remember feeling that same way too, where I was like, okay, so it's not Earth, but maybe it's like a post-Earth, like after something bad has happened, because there's like some things from Earth, but not quite. Like there's just so much that's not explained. He doesn't even mention the tower until like after the first 100-something pages. Like you don't even know why he's searching for the Man in Black.
Well, but he doesn't. So I think he does mention the tower in conjunction with the Man in Black, but like it was like a real offhand way. It was like, and the tower is out here somewhere.
Yeah.
And like I know, like there was a reference to Crimson King, and I know that's important because I've heard you talk about it when you were reading it at work. But
you know, like all that stuff I just take for granted. I'm like, oh yeah, Crimson King, and oh yeah, Dark Tower. Like like if I didn't know what I knew, I would kind of be like, what the hell is this?
Well, that's
I can't actually remember a time where I didn't know. So
I think that's also why so many people, like, even if they do decide to give the Tower series a chance, they end up getting stuck at the Gunslinger because it is not representative at all of the series. It's like an introduction in and of itself, basically.
Well, but it feels like an introduction that's jumping into the middle of a story that barely even feels like Stephen King wrote it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's very accurate.
he has taken out over 400 adverbs from this book. He likes to talk about the road to hell is paved with adverbs.
Coldly, badly, solidly.
Yeah, and like we were saying earlier, he definitely went back and retrofitted some stuff that makes to fit into the larger story. But if you haven't read the larger story, you're kind of like, what?
Yeah. No, I was apprehensive, or I was kind of more curious to see what my reading was going to be like, because I remember hating The Gunslinger so much. It took me forever to get through it the first time. Like I had to try
Hold
it
on.
3 or 4. Oh, yeah. I just saw that.
Damn, you're in the middle of a rant too.
I know. I can't help it. I mean, this is why we started the podcast in the first place, because we just
Right.
talked for hours.
Yeah, because we couldn't stop talking about the tower. Good thing, sure. I like it. I'm interested to see the pride. Do I have to re-invite her? What happened last time?
I don't know. Sometimes she popped in and out.
Stuffing that spaghetti in her face.
Oh, there she is.
Oh,
Sorry, I forgot with the app, not with the app, you have to keep your screen on.
yeah.
Millions of things, and I stopped hearing something, and I was like, "That's not good."
Yeah. Amber, continue rant, please.
Well, I was just saying kind of the same thing I said before. Like I was curious to see, because I hated it so much, and it took me so many tries to get through it. But this time it was like a breeze, because I was like, it was kind of nice to see the very beginnings of these characters, and I'm like, oh, I know that story, and I know this story, and I know who Jake is, and I know this, and I'm like, I know what's coming. It's just, it feels comfortable now.
It's I can't separate it. I was going to say it's hard, but it's damn near. I'm going to say it's just impossible. Like I can't take this book on its own, because when I read it, like I know the characters that I know from the entire series, not just from this book.
Exactly.
So I'm like, oh yeah, this makes no sense, but he's going to do this, and that, and then it'll all come together. So all right, let's just keep reading. So like I'm more into it than I would have been the first time.
That's exactly how I feel. Yeah. Like once you've read this series, this book has way more meaning.
So I guess we need to stop talking about how great the book is once you read all 8 books.
So what I'm hearing is, after we read this for the podcast, I need to go back and reread it because I'll enjoy it more.
No.
Yes, actually.
If you did,
I wouldn't do it right away. You need to give it a little time, but when you go back, this book will make. I mean, already this book will make at least 5 times more sense than it does right now.
Mm-hmm. Undoubtedly. I mean,
the Susan part, the 19 part. Obviously, I don't know if you picked that up, but he added that in later. It didn't say 19. Like, what's her name? Excuse me, Allie. I don't know how I forgot her name.
I was like, aha, it's me.
Yeah, you made it into a book. All right. Doesn't end well for you, but you know.
I mean, greater good and all that.
You know, and okay, so what happened? The man in black put a spell on the whole town, and they just randomly started coming after him. So he had to kill them all. Is that the gist of that?
That is what it seemed like.
Well, I think even if they weren't all going to kill him, the ones that were under a spell were going to get the other ones hurt in the process. And the Gunslinger was kind of like, or Roland, I should say, he's in automatic mode. So it's like, once he's shooting, there's no stopping.
Yeah. Well, like, you have enough people in an area all doing the same thing, you're going to get like that mob mentality of, oh, everyone else is doing this, so I have to do it too.
Oh, yeah. Yes. Yep. Exactly. And I think even later, a little bit later on, Roland's dad said, there's a quote, I wrote that down, where he said something, the people demand it. Sooner or later, if there isn't a turncoat, then the people make one.
Hacks. I didn't realize Hacks was in the first book. I thought that was like later on down the road.
Yeah, that was an old memory too. Or that's what I mean when it's like these characters that you see way later, it's like the first glimpse of them.
Yeah, I think. Well, never mind. No need to talk about other stuff. I liked Hacks, and I didn't really quickly. So that was very.
Very fast turnaround.
Yes.
I enjoy. At this point, I enjoy Roland's, well, especially when he was a younger kid, like the coldness to him, where he's like, why would I think of how someone else feels about something? Like, why would I waste my time with that? Or it's just very,
Very Roland.
yes.
Very practical. Very Spock-like. Logical.
It also keeps him alive. So.
And what's with the? Okay. So first question, what's with Zoltan? We just have a talking crow and moving on, like no big deal.
Yeah,
Well,
good.
Crows talk.
Well, I don't know about your crows, or excuse me, a raven, not a crow. I don't know. I wouldn't know the difference to look at them, but.
I mean, granted, I kind of partially took that from Game of Thrones, but I'm pretty sure either crows or ravens, I can't remember which one, have the ability to mimic human sounds, kind of like parrots.
Like Amber, what's that movie? The Apocalypse movie with Anna Kendrick, and the crows like insult people the whole movie. They're like standing on the wire, like, "Hey, fuck you, you suck."
I don't.
Sounds like one of those scary
It's the one with Craig. It's the one where Craig Robinson's the devil. It's like a comedy.
Oh,
and he's trying to like get with Anna Kendrick, and like every time, I think Eisenberg maybe is it? No, not. No, it's not Eisenberg, but it's the other guy that's like him. Like the crows just sit up on the wires and insult them the whole time.
Are you talking about This Is the End? I think.
No, it's not that one, but it's the same people.
Oh, okay, well then I don't know.
Ken Jeong is Jesus, and he comes down, and then like he kills him by accident just when he gets there.
What?
It's I'll think of it, or I'll look it up. I probably won't think of it.
Okay.
What's that called? We watched it the one time. Anyway, moving on while I look that up. I was like, and we always like in all the Gunslinger artwork. There's always a raven on his shoulder. Is that Zoltan? Is that where that came from? Like this little scene right here. Is that why I have 8 million pictures of him with a raven on or a crow on his shoulder?
You know,
it's very iconic.
Yeah. It seems unlikely. Well, wouldn't that? No, I guess not. No, David's a falcon. Wait, it was Zoltan.
He's a raven.
Raven, right. No, it's definitely a raven in the picture.
Okay, anyway, not that big a deal, but I like Zoltan. I wish I would have seen more of him.
Well, I mean, I never thought about the fact that there is a raven always pictured with him.
There is. And then, then that relates into the stand.
That's what I'm thinking. And I don't think the raven would be sitting on him, though, if it was from the stand.
Allie, you have not read The Stand, right?
I have not, no.
Okay. That's one we're going to have to get to when the tower's over because it's very relatable.
Tower-esque.
Yeah, that thing got extremely retrofitted, let me tell you. I was in the shop for a long time. Have you guys read Desperation?
Yes.
The part where he's going tack, tack, tack made me think of the Takala guy. I can't remember his name.
Yeah.
Takala, tack, tack. So, and then you start going, okay, so is the bad guy from Desperation have anything to do with the tower? See how it all starts to circle around? Because I could
see the stretch, probably.
I could tell you how I think it relates, but I don't think we know that yet, so I can't actually tell you that. I think. Have you heard the word toad ash yet in here?
No.
No, not yet.
All right, so never mind. Moving on. I think he's a monster that travels worlds. And what is that, page 18? I'm pretty sure Billy Bumblers wasn't there the first time. I think he thought of that later.
Yeah, I don't have that version, so it doesn't mention anything about 19 or Billy Bumblers.
Oh, Jesus. I mean, wait. What do they call Jesus? The
good man?
No, that's Farson.
That's what they treat him like.
The religion. Well, like, what do they call Callahan's religion? The man Jesus. Well, that's what they call him.
What?
The man Jesus. They don't call him Jesus in this book, in this world, or whatever. They call him the man Jesus. When they don't just say Jesus, they say the man Jesus.
Okay.
Every time. Like, there's little differences like that. I had no point. It's just, I
don't think, maybe. I don't really feel like Jesus mentioned.
Maybe not. Sorry.
I don't know, though. I mean, I have a different version, too, so.
Yeah, you need to update. Well, it's going to be over in one more podcast for this book. So. We just probably don't need to buy a new one. We'll just suffer through and get this thing out of the way.
Allie, did you understand a lot of the storytelling that was going on? Well, because of course it was classic story within a story within a story.
I occasionally parts I was like, okay, wait, hold on, who's talking and what time frame am I in?
Yeah.
But
that confused me at one point. I was like, wait, he's still telling a story?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, I got that when he was talking about his childhood. Obviously, that's a story within a story.
Yeah.
And Jake flashing back to Earth was a story within a story. And that was really where I found out that I was like, oh, so this really isn't post-apocalyptic Earth. We are somewhere totally different.
When did we go back to Earth?
Well,
when Roland hypnotized Jake.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Oh, right. Okay. Jake died and came to this world. Is basically how that went, right?
I did not remember that the man in black killed him in New York or his world, whatever.
Well, I will not comment on that. All I can say is the next book will reveal all that.
I mean,
the man in black didn't push him.
Right. You know, I was thinking that too, but I can't say anything.
See, it's hard.
Yeah. I
He
didn't think it was
he pushed him, but he's not 100% sure.
That's who he sees when he turns around, right?
Yeah. Trying to find the part.
His Jilly child. There's 100 little, like, what? He just, like, made up words. What's a hostler?
I think I actually looked that up, but I don't. I can't look at my phone.
Are you using your phone?
Yeah.
Yeah. So it says it is the man in black, and he doesn't see the face, only the swirling robe, the outstretched hands, and the hard professional grin. He falls into the street with his arms outstretched, not letting go of the book bag, which contains Miss Greta Shaw's extremely professional lunch.
Okay. So for now, it was the man in black.
He saw outstretched hands, and then he falls. So I guess we assume that he's pushed.
It definitely is implied, if not stated, I guess I would say.
Yeah.
But a lot of buts. I forgot that they play Watch Me. I was like, oh yeah, that's like their version of poker or something.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
But again, he doesn't explain that. He's just like, they're just playing Watch Me, and you're going, like, like Allie has no idea what that means, and we've read all the
Well,
books, so we know kind of.
Yeah, I kind of figured that out though, because when it was saying like "watch me" and they put down like a royal flush or something, and you're like, oh, okay, they're playing some sort of betting card game.
Yeah, I
Probably
mean,
not really
it's like a mimicry of the Old West, like it is and it isn't. So, it's a
That's
lot of.
what it felt like, which is why I thought it might be some sort of like post-apocalyptic Earth or pre.
Yeah, it's like
I don't
Cowboys versus Aliens or something.
Yeah.
Which was actually better than I thought it would be.
It's like somehow it's like past and futuristic at the same time.
Yeah.
Right, it's Old West in the future with
Yeah.
robots. Wait, do we have robots yet? I mean, do we have robots?
Stop being a pain.
Oh, there's so much. There's so much. That's the truth.
It also kind of caught me off guard when they were like, I can't remember what they call them, but like seeing a normal mule was weird. I was like, I'm sorry, what do your animals look like?
I was going to say that. Threaded stock.
Yeah.
Would you eat? I don't know if I would eat something that had like 8 legs and or 5 legs and 3 heads. Well, I mean, I guess I would if I had to. But.
Yeah.
Which, let me tell you, reading about the spiders in the cellar, nope.
I thought of you when I read that, I got to tell you.
I had to put the book down for a second. I was like, ooh, nope, ooh.
Oh, come on. You took on an interdimensional giant child-killing spider. You'd be all right. 5 bucks. Funny. Roland really has a problem with certain words in English. I'm not like he's just, he can't say aspirin. Come on, we'll get there.
What was the word you just said?
Bucks. He says box.
Oh.
That would go you 5 bucks. Do you ken box? Dollars? She nodded. So do you ken? I forgot about that too. I tried to highlight all the like little words that he made up.
I was writing down some of the phrases like the life for your crop, the world had moved on, forgot the face of your father.
Life for your crop makes me think of Trash Can Man, which then makes me think of Ezra Miller. Have you heard about that guy lately?
Yeah, I mean, I know who he is. I know like sort of what's been going on, but I don't know enough to understand the connection.
He
What
got
just did he play
for something or whatnot, didn't he?
Kidnapping and
he was living on a weed farm with like a mom and her daughter, an illegal weed farm, and then he was being accused of, I don't know, some kind of assault, I think.
Jeez.
And apparently he's just like, well, I'm not gonna judge, but everyone's saying how horrible he is to work with on the set, and some of the ridiculous demands and antics that he was up to during some of them. Somebody said that he was like the worst person in the world to work with when they were on the set of The Stand, and I don't remember which person it was.
Oh, Ezra Miller plays the Trash Can Man. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, I think I got that right, don't I?
Oh, I don't know. I have no idea. I thought you were saying he was like him, like what he was doing was like the Trash Can Man.
No. I think he played him in the new version Stand. If I got that wrong, never mind.
I have no idea.
I like to go fuck yourself. Sigh. That's something I would say. Sigh is like the international dimensional greeting for Mr. or Mrs. They just say sigh. It can apply to either one, as far as I know. I think it's generally women are, but this person's saying it to the Gunslinger, so maybe not. Maybe
is it a Stephen King term?
I don't know of it outside of the Dark Tower.
Okay.
Whenever I say thank you, sigh, nobody knows what the hell I'm talking about.
Oh, that SAI. Okay, I wasn't sure what you were saying.
Right. She's like, go fuck yourself, sigh.
I don't know if mine says that.
It's page 33 for me. When Roland gives him a coin in the bar, and he's asking him about Nort, asking who Nort is. What kind of weed is this stuff that Nort's eating? Because it seems pretty awful.
It's like heroin.
I know that we're like he went from what, like smoking it to eating it, and that's apparently much worse.
Yeah, it is.
It seems like meth, where it like destroys his whole like physical appearance or something.
Right, and there's definitely a physical addiction to it.
You want to talk addiction? The motherfucker came back from the dead, and he couldn't stop. Like, oh my goodness, what a horrible.
Is that because he's addicted to it, or because he was brought back from the dead and is now out of his mind?
Well, he said, "I just can't stop." To
Also,
Allie.
you realize that's not unfathomable at all, considering that's what an overdose is, and tons of addicts are not going to stop because they have an overdose.
Oh, that's true.
Yeah, that's a good point. It actually happens all the time. People come back from the dead and keep doing it pretty regularly. Now that you say it that way.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's still. Their coming back from the dead, I think, is a little different than Nort's.
Well, yeah, it's not days later, but or a day later.
Right, skin wasn't starting to peel in the sun. Still, well, I guess if you come back and you're the same person, although Nort says that, like he brought you back from the dead, he couldn't like remove the addiction. That asshole.
He didn't quite say that. He said he has the power to, but I'm not complaining.
Yeah, I mean, Nort's. Wait, does Roland kill Nort? I don't remember what happens to Nort.
I'm pretty sure I remember him dying because I don't know if it's him or not. I'm sure. I mean, who else is killing people?
I think he's one of the first ones that died. That got shot because he like steps over him and what's her name?
Alice.
So no,
Allie. Sorry.
Sylvia Pittston.
Oh yeah.
The preacher. That was weird.
Yeah.
Because he talked about. I mean, I've been very large, so I'm not judging anything. But Stephen King never likes fat people, and he talks about how large this woman is and how sexy she is, and her like thunderous thighs were turning him on or something. I was like, what is going on?
Yeah,
like,
I did have that same thought where I'm like, wait, you're attracted to her or not? I don't know what's happening. But there's kind of a lot of that.
I think he was, but he couldn't understand why almost. Like he didn't want to be, but he was. Like, it was.
Yeah. Almost making it like a shameful thing to be attracted to someone who's larger. Right.
I mean, we know how Stephen King feels about, or how he writes about fat people. I shouldn't like say how he feels about them. But, it's like writing the way he writes women characters sometimes. He can't really relate to it, so he doesn't always get it right, I guess I would say. But I can't think of another time where there's been a large character who's been sexy. So that, I went back and read that. I was like, am I getting this right? Is this supposed to be, good?
Well, it's also confusing. Like, I very much get the sense that, like, there's a lot of that, like, sexual tension, but, like, more, lustfulness where it's like they can't even help it. And I'm like, is this normal or is this, like, the Man in Black? Like, what's happening?
I was wondering that. Did Man in Black put a spell on Roland that he, like, wanted the preacher? Is that, like, a sick joke?
Right.
Yeah, and, like, if I walked in somewhere and she was giving a speech on kill the interloper, I think I would leave pretty quickly. Like I can't imagine. Like, what was she up to there, or is that just more Man in Black mischief?
I think that was just a game for Roland to be like Man in Black knows what's going on. You're not gonna win.
Well, he does say something like left him a trap.
Yeah, but he thought that. He thought that was Allie.
Did he?
Or the whole town, maybe. I don't know.
I think the whole town was a trap. It was a little slow to develop, but then it just did. It was like they needed her to give that speech to be like, oh yeah, who is this guy?
Yeah.
Well, needed her to give that speech, but I think the trigger was Allie saying 19. Is
To
it
Nort?
not? Yeah.
Ah. That's an interesting game, because what if she'd actually not said it? I guess the man in black was like, there's no way she's not going to say it. And she'll wait maybe 10 minutes.
Well, that says that like when Nort is holding Allie when he comes out and she's like screaming like, don't shoot, like he's holding me or something like that. Like it doesn't seem like she's under the spell.
No, she asks him to kill her.
Yeah, because she said the word to him, and then whatever he said to her, she like her brain couldn't handle or something. Of the impression I got, she didn't want to live now.
Okay, I have a different story then, because that's not what I'm reading right now.
Wow, that's crazy.
Yeah, it says, oh yeah, so like he was saying the trap was the whole town. The trap was sprung then. People, women in slacks and faded. Everyone had a knife. His reaction was automatic, instantaneous, inbred. He whirled on his heels. It was Allie, and of course it had to be Allie, blah, blah, blah. He saw that she was held hostage. The distorted, grimacing face of Sheb peered over her shoulder. Oh, it was Sheb, okay. Like a witch's familiar. She was his shield and sacrifice. He saw it all, clear and shadowless in the frozen, deathless light of the sterile calm, and heard her. He's got me. Oh, Jesus, don't shoot. Don't. But the hands were trained. He was the last of his breed, and it was not only his mouth that knew the high speech. So then he shot her. Like, there's no 19 mentioned in this version.
Well, I think we talked about that at the beginning. We knew that, because that was definitely a retrofit.
This was really different. So the art, well, mine at least.
I think we have the same version, just without the forward or the introduction.
Yeah.
You have the letter, right? That the man in black wrote?
Yes. Yeah, I have. I think.
Okay, Amber. So I guess we're gonna have to. Interesting. You might have to go online and read the second half.
Yeah.
Because it's starting to seem like you have a totally different book almost.
Yeah. Because he has them. So I can read what probably we have. He stepped back out and cinched the tote sack against the mule's, across the mule's back. There was a tight feeling in his throat. He might still avoid the trap, but the chances were small. After all, he was the interloper. Not important. The man in black had played God until he had spoken of a king's child, a red prince. Was it only a sense of the cosmic, or a matter of desperation? It was a question of some importance. There was a shrill, harried scream from behind him, and doors suddenly threw themselves open. Forms lunged. The trap was sprung. Not important. It was Allie, and of course it had to be. Allie coming at him with her face distorted, the scar hellish purple in the lowering light. So this is similar to what you have.
Yeah.
Sheb is still the one behind her. He saw it all, clear and shadowless in the frozen, deathless light of the sterile calm, and he heard her, "Kill me, Roland, kill me. I said the word 19. I said it, and he told me I can't bear it."
Wow, that's way different.
Yeah.
Okay, so Amber, Allie has a conversation with Roland or Walter. And Walter, I can't remember. What did he say 19 was going to do?
So he
tells Allie something like Nort knows the secret to death. Wait, I just had the letter in front of me. Let me just read that.
Yeah. No,
you want to know about death? I left him a word. The word is 19. If you say it to him, his mind will be opened. He will tell you what is beyond. He will tell you what he saw. The word is 19. Knowing will drive you mad, but sooner or later you will ask. You won't be able to help yourself. Have a nice day, Walter wrote him. The word P.S. The word is 19. You will try to forget, but sooner or later it will come out of your mouth like vomit. 19.
Yeah, I almost feel like that was unnecessary.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm saying. He really retrofitted 19 way back in there, and he did that with some other stuff. So I guess you don't have the Susan Delgado stuff at the end, do you? Or, no, that wasn't there from the beginning, was it?
What? There's no.
When they're
Susan is
talking about
mentioned-
Sheb and his history.
No, not at all.
Yeah, you should probably not read your book for the second half. I'm gonna say. Are you able to do that?
Probably, but I mean, I find it interesting that he changed so much. Like, it seems unnecessary.
Well, and honestly, it might be kind of interesting if you did continue reading your version to see what's different, especially since you have like already read it. So you know, well, like the both of you at least would know what's different, why it's different, if it makes more sense or less sense in the context that it's given.
Did the other ones get retrofitted this massively? I don't think so, right? I don't think Drawing of the Three is this bad. I think he had it more or less on the way at that point. It's interesting. Sorry. And I agree. Did we need all that 19? Like when I read it the first time, I'm pretty sure 19 didn't show up till book Wolves of the Calla. So I don't know that I needed it to show up in Gunslinger like that.
Well, especially in the way that it's described in the way that the scene that you read to me, it just feels cheesy. Like it doesn't feel right.
I'm Steven. What I want.
Right.
Well, I mean, we're gonna read it. So. Put it out of your head.
It might
Okay.
In the context that if it was the trigger on Tull attacking Roland, it would make sense to retrofit it in that sense. Now, did the letter have to be written like it was? Probably not, no. But
I like the letter, and I like Walter. He's fun. Seems like a giggly, insane kind of guy, like Harley Quinn or something.
Well, that's the other thing. So we haven't met technically Walter yet then in this version.
Well, I just mean from the letter. He's like, you're going to try to not say it, but you're not going to be able to stop yourself. You're going to say it. It'll ruin your life. Have a good day. Like, oh. He's very, like, happy, charming about it.
Well, the villains usually are. That's why I love it.
If you like your sanity, you don't ever want to say that word to Nort. Put it out of your head. If you can, teach yourself that the number after 18 is 20. Half of 38 is 17. The man who signed himself Walter O'Dim is a lot of things, but a liar isn't one of them.
That's not true.
Yeah, that's interesting. I mean, it's kind of what he does. He lies about everything.
Yeah.
His name, his appearance, his
intention.
Like he says, his path had been undeviated. Why? Well, okay, I don't. Why? And he's very, very worried about what's on the other side of the desert. Like, just are they going to be able to tell you something that it's going to make you go, "Oh, well, then I'm not going to go," because I don't feel that way.
Yeah,
like, why don't you just start walking and find out instead of like terrorizing everybody, or well, not everybody.
Well, that's basically what he had to do anyway.
It's funny, like how they're like, "Yeah, sure. Your mule has 2 eyes and 4 legs." I'll believe it when I see it. I feel like they want to make better. he does die. I think it probably ate him. Oh, no, wait, that's a flash.
But everyone was already dead by the time it died.
Right, that's a... Oh, was it? Doesn't he come up and the guy's like, yeah, your mule died. He's like, well, shit happens.
Yeah, but like, so that was because I forgot that the entire story of him in Tull is a flashback.
Right.
Yeah, because he's talking to Brown.
The kid.
No, he's talking to Brown.
Yes, sorry.
And he still had the mule when he was at Brown's.
Okay, that's right. Yeah, see, it gets a little Inception like. We were 3 stories deep at that point, right?
Because for some reason, Roland has to get the story off his chest. Where it's like, since when does Roland have a conscience? I don't understand.
Yeah, I know you'll never ask, and I know you need to tell it, so I'll just ask for you. Like, no, I don't. No, that's not the vibe I get from Roland. I think he'd have been okay not telling.
Later on, people get pretty mad at him for not talking enough. Not sharing enough, I should say.
People think he's dumb because he doesn't talk. Something like that. Court says something like that, doesn't it? We did Court.
His dad.
Yeah,
we did a little bit of Court.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, because we did Cuthbert like laughing at Court behind his back, and he sees there's reflection in his eyes or something, and turns around and whacks him in the head.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which I still don't understand who these people are. Like,
yeah.
Is Court an instructor, or is he like a companion, like someone their own age? Or
I kind of want to wait till you know.
Like, I feel like he's kind of, because they gave like a brief description at one point, and it sounded like they were way younger and he was older, so I'm guessing an instructor, but that also doesn't make sense to why he's being like a massive asshole.
Well, I mean, think about like what he's instructing them to do.
I don't know.
Okay, well then I guess we'll have to find out.
Court's like a drill instructor. He's the asshole that makes you a better person. You know,
not just a person.
Or I guess because they're both gunslingers.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously Roland is. I can't tell if Cuthbert is or not.
Neither of them are in that part.
Well, training to be.
Exactly. There you go.
So I guess training to be heartless.
They have school for that. Wow. I found my new calling.
It sure seems not you, but that's what Roland is training for.
I mean,
Roland's.
You kind of have to turn off your feelings if you're going to be a ruthless killer.
Well, are you saying gunslingers are ruthless killers?
Roland sure the hell seems like it.
Well, he did just shoot the whole fucking town.
Yeah.
But that wasn't his fault.
Okay.
They were coming after him. What was he supposed to do?
Run?
Gunslingers don't run. They barely walk sometimes. Yeah, like he palavered ever onward. Like if I didn't know what that meant, I wouldn't know what that meant. And that makes more sense than it sounds like it makes. Page 57, Kennerly, who I think is the hostler. He's Scooby's.
Yeah.
And that's where it said like Scooby the first time, and then it said like Subi every other time. Took the C and changed it to an O. On page 59 for me, that probably means nothing for you.
No, they're pretty close in terms of page numbers, surprisingly. But I don't think it says palaver. I don't remember that. For mine.
Subi's got the hots for Roland, or she's just trying to piss her dad off. Maybe both.
again, it's like everybody just has this like unkempt sexual energy, or I guess.
Yeah.
I don't
Well,
know.
you know, it's a small town. Maybe they don't get to, you know. Well, Amber, so page 61, Roland. He says, Magus, the gunslinger said. Magus, the gunslinger nodded, now that Sheb was no longer trying to stick a knife in his lights. Magus, he said, on the clean sea. You were there, weren't you? Many and many as they.
So that
Is this after he breaks
But
in?
what if I was? I don't remember you. Oh, but you remember the girl, don't you? The girl named Susan and Reap Night? His voice took on an edge. Were you there for the bonfire? The little man's lips trembled. So that's what I was talking about. So you had no idea what the hell I was talking about.
No.
But you was just a boy. One of them three boys. You come to count, and Elder Jonas was there, and the coffin hunter, and yes, so.
Yeah, none of that is in the first version.
I know it's not. There's no way.
Like there were definitely, I wrote down a few quotes that made me think of the things that happen in Wizard and Glass, like directly, like especially the one about the mob mentality. But there's
I'm
definitely
wondering
mention-
if he like redid this after Wizard and Glass, because it seems like he did a lot of Wizard and Glass referencing.
Yeah, I mean it makes sense though because that was the earliest part of the timeline.
I mean, it was Sheb, so he made.
so
Which that
I was like, I didn't remember shit.
Sheb from the Gunslinger at all. Anyways, stop that.
Well, he
So-
didn't seem that important.
I mean,
He's not. Really.
he's not. He's like a secondary character in another book.
It's just a
But
tie-in.
he likes to do all them Easter and mentioned Ka yet.
Not in my version.
I don't think so.
And I won't. I thought there was something there. Oh well, there was Kenneth. Do you Kenneth?
Yeah,
So
I
I
can't.
can't finish that thought.
Well, that's actual slang though,
Kenneth?
kind of.
Oh, is it?
Like, do you ken? Do you
Yeah.
understand? That's
I mean-
that's some, like Scottish British slang.
Oh, I didn't know that. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that's almost disappointing. What the hell? I feel like he's getting lazy with his made-up words. I set my watch and warrant on it. I like how the part you were reading, he was the Red Prince, and then he suddenly became the Crimson King. I meant to say that. You'll be killed. You've killed the child. Yeah, and what's with the fucking preacher wanting to have like demon babies? Doesn't that kind of go against your teaching?
What do you mean?
Damn it.
Goes up to the facility of Pitts and
The
they
big woman, and I think gives her an on-the-spot abortion, if I have that right.
Uh-huh. Oh,
And
I know. Yeah, you're right. And she's like, "You killed my baby."
Yeah, I did not.
Crimson King.
Yeah.
I did not quite understand what was going on in that section.
Yeah, that was wait, so did the Crimson King find her sexy too? Like nobody can help themselves around her? And when did how did you kill the child of the Crimson King if that guy has
Yeah.
when was the last time the Crimson King was they don't say that he was anywhere but at this fuck, I don't know what they say and what they don't. Allie, where's the Crimson King? Do you know?
as of right now, the only thing that I understand him as fully is a hypothetical. Like he's basically Satan.
Okay. Yeah.
Is what it sounds like.
Yeah. It's pretty good. I'd say that so far. So she says he does whatever he does to Sylvia, the preacher, and she says, get out. But to be paid, I set my watch.
Yeah, I mean, like, kind of how in, like, people have demon babies, but they didn't necessarily actually sleep with the devil in movies.
Right. Well, yeah.
I thought of it as something similar to that.
I'm not sure how the rules work on that.
Yeah, I'm still.
What's
What's your name? Rosemary's Baby?
It's almost like the cult can make it a demon baby if they want. They retrofit it to be a demon baby. He does have some good meta. Outside, the heat was still like a hammer. Like, I like that one. That's what it feels like out there these days.
God, no kidding.
Still like a hammer, yeah. There's some other good ones, I think.
I like it a lot. I mean, it's not his usual style, but there was a lot of the scenes that I enjoyed. Just now that I understand what's happening, I could see it better in my head, and it was like, ooh, that's interesting. Like, not quite the Stephen King that we know and love, but still getting there.
Well, the first time, there's people
Gunslinger, read it later.
started drawing of the three, which I get, but while none of this makes sense now, I think you need the information moving forward.
I agree.
So,
the only thing I'll say is, like I said, I basically read a bunch of, I don't even remember what it was, but I read a bunch of different things online to understand the summary of the story. So I don't even feel like I gained that information from reading the book.
Well,
I did.
And I read this.
Well, they did, but it was still in like a government basement somewhere. And the rain in Spain falls mainly on the plain.
Yeah.
Yeah, I caught that too.
Sounds suspiciously like Blaine is a pain.
Well, it was also
He likes-
in it.
Oh, was it? Ooh, I don't remember that.
Yeah. It was part, because I think it was part of the longer saying of the rain in Spain falls mainly on the plain, and he thrusts his fist against the post and still insists he sees the ghosts.
Yeah, I think you're right.
You're right. Middle there, but
like I was expecting to read that phrase in Gunslinger.
Right. Patrick Hockstetter was saying it.
Dang Hockstetter.
It is
I like
funny.
that guy.
Granted, it's a completely different story, but Salem's Lot felt so much more like a first draft for his other stories than this one does. But again, it's also just not even the same like journey. So
well, this is, and that's why
it's not even the same genre.
Oh yeah, there's not even a single genre that it is.
This, I think, was in a sci-fi magazine, which I think is why it has that slight like magical element to it, where you're like, okay, it's not just a straight, Sergio Leone Western, which I only know that name because it's based world on a Sergio Leone novel. So I forgot my point. Damn it.
It's sci-fi originally.
Yes, I think it was originally intended as sci-fi, like a Western sci-fi.
I mean, I can see
Definitely
that.
what
This is drawing it. Well, we're not there yet. It goes in many directions. This is really hard to talk about just this book. I got to tell you.
Yeah.
Even harder than like I thought it was going to be. That's funny. He's like,
He pulls the gun on Jake and he
thinks the man in black, and he's like, my God, he's worn away to nothing. He shrank 2 full feet, and his hair had gone white. Like, no, he's a kid. I don't know why his hair is
Aren't
white.
you? What kind of gunslinger are you? Not very observant.
Right? Come on, be better.
Well, he was like halfway out of his mind with like heat stroke and dehydration, though.
Yeah, fair. I like how he was like, I know I'm gonna fall at some point, and like, don't take a rest so you don't. Just keep going until you fall.
Well, I mean, like they say, when you're gonna freeze to death, the rest will kill you, right? So maybe he didn't want
get back up.
I don't know. Guessing. Yeah, I probably would have stopped. I'd have found a way to have some shade somehow, and well, I wouldn't be walking through the desert, and
Well,
I'm assuming he's
also,
wearing cowboy boots and long pants and all that.
like, how does he? I mean, I know he does realize, but he should really think more clearly about this, because it's like clearly everything is being set up by the man in black. Like, he would not have survived if Jake hadn't been there to like save him, basically. Like, or well, maybe, but you know what I mean? It just seems like he's playing right into exactly what the man in black wants him to do, and I'm like,
Oh, 100%, yeah.
and I know that he's starting to recognize this, but he's still not like doing anything. He's like, I'm just gonna keep following him. I don't care. Even if he's playing me, I gotta find him.
Well, he's clearly
Like obsessed.
like he knows the traps are coming, but it doesn't like even deter him a single smidge. He's like, nope, yep, there's a trap. People are gonna die. I'm moving on. Like Toll, like, yeah, I killed everybody. Moving on. What's next?
Well, and reading parts of it, I can't remember the full context right now, but it was something like, this is all a game. Like, they'll just keep following each other for eternity, it sounded like. Like, there's not an actual end.
How did it start?
I don't know.
Say? No, we're just like dropped in the middle and he's chasing him.
Right.
How long has he been chasing him?
Seems like a long time. And what was on the other side of the desert? Mountains? Was that the answer we finally got?
Yeah.
That's what we know thus far.
Yeah, it seems like a lot of work for like not much information.
Mountains and green and water.
Sounds like a fantasy. Like,
After desert, hell yeah.
Yeah, saying I'm not sure that actually exists. It's what they tell people. Jake's name is John Chambers. I read that. I was like, who the fuck is John Chambers?
I know. I wrote that down. I was like, what? Why?
Yeah, why do we do that? That might be the only time he's ever
Maybe
in school, and I can't remember. Yeah, I kind of like Jake right off the bat, though. He's pretty. Yeah, he just died, and he's pretty put together, unaffected by it.
Oh,
Lost Amber. Damn it! We kept it together for an hour that time. You got right back in with the same link, right?
yeah.
Well, I guess she'll tell us if she can. Oh, see, now you're just playing a game, huh?
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
I'm gonna drop off this time and see how it works.
Wait.
I think it'll end it if you drop off.
I'm pretty sure it will. I'm not gonna do that.
Hello.
Hello.
Yes, we can hear you.
Wait, what happened? You're gonna end it?
No.
No.
Everyone keeps dropping off, so I was gonna take a turn.
Oh, okay.
Where were we? I think I was saying something critically important.
Oh, yeah.
I think of somehow I like Jake, and he
Oh,
just
yeah.
died. Jake just died.
Oh
But
yeah,
Jake
but
doesn't
doesn't.
know he just died, though, right? He's just
Yeah.
okay. So I'm somewhere completely foreign and may not even be the same planet. Cool. I'll just
Until somebody comes by for a couple days.
this. He yeah, I'm not sure I'd have been that
It
calm.
is. Well, and even when he tries to express to Roland, like, the first semblance that he's, like, actually a terrified little boy, Roland is like, that's the way it is, kid. Get over it. Move on.
Right? Right, what are you gonna do? Complain your whole life? Suck it up. Walk it off.
Like,
What is it?
Roland says something about worrying, doesn't he?
Worrying, like why worry it doesn't do anything or something?
something like that.
Like, yes, you practical bastard. He's also 12. I like how long was it? A
9.
week, 2? What?
He says he's 9.
See, they're always younger in the book. Jake's not.
Well, maybe he.
Well,
I thought everyone at 12 for some reason. Everyone and every
Maybe
kid in every
he
Stephen
looked-
King book to me is like 12.
I know
Yeah,
he
it might be the-
mentions that he looks like that.
What?
I thought he was 11.
I don't know. I said when he first sees him, he thinks him to be about 9 years old, so he probably is 11 and just small.
Yeah. Good God. Jake can't be 9. There's no way. He would never. I mean, maybe. Well, now I like him more, I guess, if he's only 9. Jesus.
Well, I don't remember how old he is at the end.
A week, 2, 3? Boy, looked at him distractedly. Yes. Which?
3 poops ago.
Yeah, that cracked me up.
Yeah. So that could be. I don't know. I feel like 3 poops ago wouldn't be a couple weeks. Maybe. It depends on what you're eating that week. And where did Jake get the beef jerky from? He just had a pile of it. Do you have the and where it says Jake's telling Roland he watched too many horror movies on Channel 11, and Roland's like, "What's a channel? Is that like a beam?"
No.
He's like, "No, it's TV." And he's like, "What's TV?"
No, none of that.
Interesting.
It talks about Mrs. Shaw. And he thought, what is the Statue of Liberty conversation on yours?
Yes, yeah.
That was funny too.
Where
Are
he's
you making this?
Yeah.
Water.
There were things to ride in the streets, big ones and little ones. The big ones were blue and white. The little ones were yellow. A lot of yellow ones. I walked this. What were the big ones? Cop cars? What's blue and white?
A bus?
Buses.
I didn't know they were blue and white.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know what the yellow ones are. They don't even have them anymore. Well, they still do. Another 10 years, people will be like, what's a cab?
Yeah, I was thinking that too with the Uber and Lyft and whatnot.
Yeah, when we go to Sharp Shopper,
A group of people.
that I think it's like a meet and a hangout spot while I wait for like someone to call an Uber. It's either that or like the DoorDash. It's one of them because they're always there in the same spot, like just hanging out. And they're not drug addicts, I don't think. And they probably wouldn't let them hang out there if they were, so that's probably not what it is. At the moment, in that, here, listen, is this in yours, Amber? The shell in his fingers, manipulated with such unknown grace, was suddenly horrific, the spore of a monster. He dropped it in his palm, made a fist, and squeezed it with painful force. Had it exploded in that moment, he would have rejoiced and for its only true talent. that would have been interesting. If
Wait,
that
what
would
is
have
he
happened.
talking about?
He's talking about he would have been cool if his hand got blown up because the only thing it was good at was killing people.
Yeah. I just
I
don't
think
get that vibe from him. Like, I know he's not happy, but I don't get the sense that he like feels bad that he's done the things he's done.
not even a little bit. I don't think he is uncomfortable with who he is. See, I think he likes who he is.
Right.
So that's one of them weird ones. And
This damn
shell.
I'm just like,
I don't get it. I'm not buying it. So let's just say he hypnotized them and moved on, and deal with that. But I can't like Stephen King. Can you? Go ahead.
But I mean, there's so much other magic. Like, it's probably tapping into that too. Like, it's like, I don't know, Gunslinger's bloodline power.
It could be.
Like, I wouldn't be surprised.
There's references I would like to say could be using that I won't. Chuss it, chass it, bring it.
something.
Do we know that somewhere else? And I mean, in Stephen King, possibly, maybe in the real world. Is that like a real thing?
Not that I'm aware of, but it sounds like a nursery rhyme.
Yeah, it seems familiar, but I don't know that it actually is.
I don't know why
It's from
it's inside of Stephen King.
or outside. He bowls once a week at Midtown Lanes. I have the shirt to prove it. Well, no, I have Midworld Lanes. I don't have Midtown Lanes.
Yeah.
Actually, I was trying to decide what shirt to wear for the.
I could wear my vote Pennywise.
I'm wondering if I should wear my Going 19. It's going to be a private tour.
Oh, that's a good point.
I'm excited. So shout out to SK Tours of Maine, and
I'll be going
excited.
for the first time next Friday.
First time.
Yeah.
It's awesome. You're probably gonna. You're gonna. There's no way you don't. All the stuff we talked about in it, you're gonna see, and you have not read Insomnia. What else is in Derry? Pet Cemetery's in there. Have you read Pet Cemetery?
No.
I haven't read it, but I watched the original movie.
Well, Where You're Going 19 shirt. See if he says that. Anyway, I don't know who it is. I don't know if we're getting Jamie or Stu or somebody else completely. I feel like every year when we go back, it gets bigger and bigger and bigger. So we're doing 2 tours at once and private tours. There's a private luxury tour. So, Stu likes to tell the story that he asked Stephen King if he could do it. And, he would, or I asked Steve if he could do it, Steve and Tabby. And he's like, sure, but nobody's going to be interested. So I think he underestimated that just a little bit. So there's definitely interest even way up there in the middle of nowhere, Maine.
Oh, yeah. Well, and I mean, people, I guess that's not why we go to Maine, but we certainly make sure that we go there in Maine.
Yeah, and the book comes out on the 6th, I think, if I have that right. So we have to go to Derry and buy a Stephen King book.
Or something.
Yeah.
I like how when he hypnotizes Jake, he says, do you want to remember this when you wake up or not? How do you make a decision like that when you're hypnotized?
Yeah, right? Your subconscious is like, nah, bruh, I'm good.
Like,
Yeah, because that's we know what the subconscious thinks. It doesn't want you to remember nothing.
Right.
That's why it's the subconscious. But
maybe that's, I guess, in theory, then it wouldn't want you to remember the things you don't remember. So
right. So why bother it?
Right.
Or I guess it's like people dealing with trauma. and how like the mind can just like completely make you forget about something terrible that happened to you.
Yeah, it's definitely a thing.
Right.
So maybe it's that part of his brain answering.
Well, that's true. Well, right. That's
Yeah.
what I'm saying is it's like this. It's making you forget already, so of course it's gonna want you to keep forgetting.
Yeah.
He's interested that he's doing decision making while he's not in control of himself. There was a company, right? They lost their charge long ago. Oh, the pump lost its charge long ago, right? Probably ran on an atomic slug, whatever that is.
Yeah, I was like, all right, not gonna question that one.
Since there was no electricity, so it's like some like little bullet, like all radiated and green, something.
Right. A slug of neutron or oh my god, nuclear energy.
Yeah, just put it in there, and that's something out of, honestly, I keep going back to this a lot. That's something out of Tommy Knockers.
I was just thinking the same thing.
They had the like glowing green batteries that they just put in everything.
Powered it like kind of no matter what.
And then would just suck people into weird dimensions. The company that made the atomic slug was North Central Positronics, which may come up again in the future. Oh, really?
Yeah. I definitely remember reading that.
Now might be a retrofit because it definitely comes up again. In fact, I'm pretty sure that feels like a retrofit.
Yeah.
Traveler's Rest, he mentions. Oh, he sings Careless Love in his head. So the Gunslinger's doing a lot of remembering when he was a kid stuff. Again, look, he tells Jake, we have to palaver. Jake nodded, smiling a little at the word. So he knows it's full of shit. Jake says, are you going to kill him? He says, I don't know. I have to make him tell me something.
Take me someplace. Tower. It's not even
capitalized. It's just like a tower. Not the Dark Tower, not the tower. Just to find a tower.
Wait, hold on. I'm pretty sure it is in mine.
The ladder would break and I wouldn't be able
to get up again. See, Jake's smart. He doesn't go in that hole because he thinks it's not going to work.
Yeah.
It's like it smells bad, and it's the only thing that's around here that smells at all. Like, oh, well, I probably wouldn't be that curious either, unless it was really hot. But the way station, I think, has shade. Is he a bad man? He asked Roland, and Roland's answer is, I guess that depends on where you're standing. Interesting. That's all I can say. Because as far as I know, Roland's chasing him because he thinks he's a bad man, right? I mean, isn't that the whole point of this?
You would
We
think.
don't really know why he's chasing him.
I mean, for all we know, Roland could technically be the bad guy. Well, let me correct that. For all I know.
I guess that's true. Doesn't feel right, but it could be that way.
It doesn't feel right because of how weird the Man in Black was in Tull.
Yeah, yeah. He was fun in Tull too. I liked it. With the people. Bad guys are always more fun than the good guys.
Yeah.
I highlighted this for you. Disturbingly big ones with mottled gray bones.
Real quick.
I picture that
like hair, like in knots and stuff. Is that what mottled means?
I don't know.
I think of it kind of like a cross between molded and like brindled.
I think it's like a blue chambray work shirt. I think it's a Steve. Um,
I
Go
feel
ahead,
like
Amber.
we almost got a blue chambray horse skirt.
Yeah, I don't think they existed yet, but I think they were coming.
Well, Roland's dad is wearing a blue work shirt.
Yeah.
See, it was almost chambray.
I was just gonna say that when he says that to Jake to find a tower, it's not capitalized, but I think that's because he says a tower. Because every other time it's mentioned, it is capitalized. Like even in there's a part before he hypnotizes Jake, where he says, "All of them were for the good, the bloody good, for the myth, for the grail, for the tower." Capitalized. Ah, the tower stood somewhere.
Yeah,
Nonchalant about
maybe he
it.
doesn't want to give it up. Think,
I,
well, we don't know any of that, I guess. So maybe it shouldn't be capitalized just yet. He's like, yeah, just to find a tower. No big deal.
Well, that's what I'm saying is every other time he mentions it, it is capitalized. That's the only time it's not.
Yeah. I like, wait, is this the metaphor?
to
Abstruse cracks, a thin spill of sand was running, as if something on the other side was digging. Oh, it's not a metaphor, it's the demon. Digging itself through with slobbering, agonized intensity. I like that.
Yeah, I thought that was a metaphor and not an actual thing. I was like, oh, wait, there is someone digging there.
Yeah,
until it wasn't.
That's why I highlighted it. I think I even wrote, like, I like that metaphor. And then I was like, oh, yeah, that's actually wasn't a metaphor because something was digging itself through there with slobbering, agonized intensity.
Yeah,
I'm going
but
to try to use
it was weird to me, like he only felt a jawbone, not like any other part of a body. Or at least it's not mentioned if he did.
as opposed to the rest of the skeleton, I guess you mean. I
Yeah.
don't know. Never thought about it. I don't know how long it's been. Maybe that was what he felt first and decided that was all he needed. I don't. I guess that is kind of weird. Where's the rest of it? But you never get complete fossils, right? I don't know how long it was that. So this demon, was that his jawbone, and hence this demon was a person at one point?
No idea.
Yeah,
He said it sounded like Allie.
Yeah, that's just probably the man in black fucking with him. I don't know. I read that, but I didn't speaking analogy.
Get there.
But yeah, I think that was just more MIB shenanigans. I got it right here. It was the voice of Alice. You don't even call her Allie. Like, you can't decide what to call her. He goes back and forth.
Okay, that's what
He
I
stayed
thought.
within the town of Toll.
I'm sorry, I was just gonna say I swear I saw Alice and then I keep seeing Allie and I'm like, why did I think it was Alice? But he goes back and forth.
He does. It was the voice of Alice, the woman he had stayed with in Toll. Oh yeah, the woman he killed like 15 pages ago. Yeah, I know who she is. Like, I forgot in the last 10 pages, 15 pages.
Yeah, right. Wait, which
Ghost.
one again was that?
Right. Oh,
That's the one he slept with and then killed the town. Like, can you be more specific? Which town?
Which town did he slaughter?
Right. How many times did he sleep with someone and then kill everyone she knew? Go slow past the drawers, Gunslinger. I think that was there originally, right?
Oh yeah, I wrote that down.
Although watch for the tahine, I think he added. It says go slow past the drawers, Gunslinger. Watch for the tahine. While you travel with the boy, the man in black travels. So
yeah, the tahine part was added because it says go slow past the drawers, Gunslinger, while you travel with the boy, the man in black travels with your soul in his pocket.
that's what I thought. So he's telling him it's a trap. You're like, as long as you have this kid, you're fucked.
Right.
And Roland's like, okay, well, I guess I'm fucked. Let's keep going.
I'm still gonna chase you.
All right, you can say whatever you want. I'm still coming.
And it's,
Take.
I mean, no spoilers, but it's just, it's all really messed up, man.
I don't even know if I should ask.
Yeah, well, we'll find out in the next section, but just like,
The drawers?
I don't know if
Let's
I
not do.
remember. Is that? Yeah.
Let's not do too much of that.
No.
Jawbone was rotted at the hinge. I guess the skull just turned to dust.
Maybe.
I have a question about the job.
But I can't ask. There's different. Never mind.
Yeah, I was
She's-
like, and then you proceed to ask.
I don't want to ask it because I don't want to do it that way. So,
Yeah. I think I had a similar thought to what you're thinking.
I think you did too.
and it has, I just no.
We'll just bring it up when it's relevant, if we remember.
Oh, we
Have
will.
you met us? If we were, yeah. Well, I'll bring it up. As far as the remembering part, I think it's just going to be what it'll be. Do they ken Merlin where you come from? Merlin and
Yeah,
the
also-
Knights of the Round Table. Good.
He was implying that Martin and the Man in Black or something are the same person. I can't remember. And it's like, no, they're definitely
Not implying anything yet. No, that's how I'll answer that.
not. Oh yeah, not. I said Martin, right? Not Walter. Yeah.
Yes. I don't know. He's just saying that he's like Martin's like Merlin is in your world, I guess. No, because he's saying Merlin's in his world because he's asking him if he knows who Merlin is. I don't. I like how Jake got
My first dollar.
The sound of this word from the boy's mouth startled him badly. But the gunslinger wouldn't let his voice show it. Yeah, I don't know. Like, that's our word. You can't say that.
Also, I forgot about the high speech and the low speech.
So did I, and I never really understood any of that other than Roland knew a couple different languages. Great. Like, what's...
Well, and like...
So the entitled rich bastards speak the high speech, I think is the way that worked.
And the high speech is capitalized for us, but it's like a different language for them, which I like didn't realize at first. I'm like, what is he yelling? What's happening?
I don't think I caught that. So every word's capitalized in the high speech?
Usually, isn't it?
I'm not saying it's not. I don't feel like really going back and looking for that at this point.
How you know it's the high speech.
I know it's the high speech because they said he spoke in the high speech. So I'm like, okay. Switch languages. It's all English from this perspective. So.
Right.
So I think, and then I guess the last thing we have is this flashback with David. The legend of the boy with the sling. So he does a lot of that. So this is a different world, but they have a Bible-y character that does this
world.
Mm-hmm.
Oh
yeah, well, yeah.
It says they're listening to Hey Jude in the beginning, so yeah, I didn't even mention that.
Right.
So I guess the Beatles are that good; they exist in every world.
I guess.
Yeah, he does his David flashback. We get our first, and Allie, I'm glad you called him Cuthbert and not Cuthbert. Because that's the audio book for what's the one through the keyhole Stephen King reads, and he calls him.
Can't stand it.
What does he know? As well, do you know Roland's last name yet? Have they mentioned that?
Mm,
Probably
I
not.
don't think so.
I don't think so.
I think she was. Why am I?
I mean, you're not completely wrong.
Well, it'll get better. Your tongue has a bad habit of lolling from your stupid mouth when your instructor's back is turned. Everybody says mayhap. That's like
Yep.
Is mayhap a
It
accent
seems
thing?
like it.
Yep. Oh, yep. Mayhap today. We actually went to Maine and heard someone say a yup for the first time. It was like a revelation.
Mhm.
Like, holy crap.
Oh, I love the accent. It's endearing. Maybe it's
Talking to Marshall. Hi, Marshall.
Go out on the patty batch. I always wanted to know how the world looked when your head was on backward and upside down. So yeah, then we do Hacks. Hacks is a traitor. Farson. Is he the good man or is he both? I don't remember.
He's both. Well, yeah.
I mean, so
Yeah,
far,
right.
I guess is what I mean.
Right. I think we know he's both, right?
So Hacks, yeah, basically gets caught conspiring like a son of a bitch. Like it was like
Mhm.
they were recording him and he was saying everything you should.
So we'll give you the money
And
exact spot,
right? And this is Farson, as in the good man, right? Right? Just making sure I got all the details straight. Tete-a-tete was the that's their conversation. Their treasonous little tete-a-tete. Oh, you do know Roland's last name because they thought Shane. So it's Deschain. Deschain is the way we say it. Stephen King says Roland Deschain. I can't stand that either.
Yep.
And I'm kind of like, what does he know? Yeah.
Yeah.
Just because you know how to. No, he's not hacks. Like I could have killed him, and the thought made him freeze. I could have killed him.
Yeah.
I guess we know Roland's the good guy because he went straight. Well, unless this whole side is not the good side that we're on, that we're reading about, but yeah, he goes straight to Dad. It's like, so check it out. And then I was like,
Part this so far was them
like watching and getting ready for the hanging. Like they got there and like they took a lunch and got there at like 6 in the morning and waited 4 hours for people to show up, and they were like they made a field trip out of the damn thing, and they were the only ones there when he was still hanging. And
I liked Roland's realization of like that this was a lesson. He's like, oh shoot, maybe we don't really want to see this, but we kind of have to see this, and that like we're here now, like this is gonna happen.
Yeah, like are we doing the right thing? Well, I feel like it's, if you're rolling, it's like one of those get it out of the way things because you're not gonna be a gunslinger and never see this again, so you might as well just get used to it.
He at one point, I forgot about this, he says, or he's thinking to himself that he's thinking about Jake and how Jake didn't ask to be, play this game with the Man in Black and stuff. And he says that he had not asked to be forced with a choice between the obsession of his duty and his quest and criminal amorality. So I'm like, is he talking about having to choose one of those three, or choose two of those three, or what is he saying there?
I think the first two are the same thing, right?
A choice between the obsession of his duty and his quest and criminal amorality. That's what I wasn't sure.
It's the obsession of his, I think they're saying, how many people are going to die for you.
Right. But is that his duty?
His quest and his obsession are the same
thing, or if not, what would his obsession be?
Yeah, I don't know. I was thinking duty is being a gunslinger, but the obsession is definitely the quest. So it's just like it was interesting. But then also, I found that to be confusing because when a little bit later on, his dad says basically to him, "It's not your place to be moral. Morals may always be beyond you. You're not quick like Cuthbert or Wheeler's boy, but it will make you formidable." So it's like he did know that.
Yeah, I like how I like
Yeah.
It's very
short and good visual of hanging neck pop. He has a lot of those just little snippets. You're like, oh, that's a good way to say that. I wish I spoke to high speech. I like how Roland's mad because catching hacks
forced him
like into adulthood when he didn't really want to be there
Right.
yet.
It forced him to wish death upon him.
Yeah, they changed something and it hurt. I wanted to kill them for it. I wanted to kill them right there because they made him like grow up overnight.
I do.
Like
I
he
do have to
didn't
say
get to
that
like ease into it. It was like, okay, now I got to make an adult decision.
that feels like a very child Roland reaction. Like still logical, but filled with emotion because he's still young.
You know, Allie, have you read? Do you know about the poem that this came from?
Nope.
Damn, how's that never come up? Robert Browning's poem "Child Came."
all of this.
I
Think
think
in book 70.
he puts the entire poem in the front of it. But I was just thinking, it's called "Child Roland to the Dark Tower Came." That not quite the way that worked out.
Not
so
even
just
nearly. Nothing.
what'd you
Spoilers.
say? Oh,
I said not even
Oh.
nearly.
oh. Well, I guess that's a. I don't know. Is that a spoiler? I guess. Well, we just met him and he's going to the tower. I don't know how much of a spoiler it is. So.
Right. Well, yeah, he's not a child when we meet him, so.
Right.
Yeah, and then we do Farson. So we get rid of hacks and we have a field trip to the hanging spot. I think that's the way it ends, right? And then I think the second half is gonna be better than the first half.
Yeah, I mean, definitely more happens.
There's more
Reality, there's more.
not straight Western stuff, more Tolkien-y kind of stuff going on.
I'm just
So
hoping
instead
that a
of
little more gets explained.
Honestly,
I don't think so. I think you're gonna get more confused. Go ahead,
Okay.
Amber.
I was just gonna say you find out way more about it later on because like the events are revisited, and then also, like I said, I just had to read other analyses, other summaries, if you will.
I mean,
That's what you want to do, you know. But
Well, I feel like, I mean, we also have discussed a lot of the actual events that took place, so that's different. Like when I read it, you and I weren't having this discussion.
what do you mean?
I mean, I guess I can't speak for you, Allie, but hopefully you have a little bit more understanding after us talking about it than not talking about it.
Oh,
I mean, hard to know without knowing what I don't know, but
that makes more sense.
Do you know what has happened in the story thus far? Like the sequence of events?
I mean,
he's walking across the desert to get to some mountains going after the man in black.
Yeah.
That's what I know.
And he meets
kill the town along the way.
right.
And there's the Crimson King somewhere.
Yeah, that part hasn't really been touched on yet, though. But you covered
He's
it.
barely
basically.
mentioned. I think only maybe that one time.
Yeah.
So basically, the second half is what Roland and Jake, and yeah.
Everybody say bye.
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 Bye.